Salve. Anyways, this is the life and death of Matt Culhane, and this basically takes place in the 90s. I think I met him when I was in high school. I don't really remember how I met him. I think I met him through this kid Ralph, or I met him through this kid Sexton, or one of the Sexton brothers. I think one was Bill. I can't remember the other name or the other guy. But basically, I had met him in the high school, and he looked like Howard Stern, and he kind of looked like a little bit like Tootie Turtle, like one of these cartoon turtles, or like the tortoise cartoon. But he basically, you know how Howard Stern is kind of like tall and ganky, but really thin. So he kind of was like Howard Stern. He had that hair, he kind of had that look, and he also had the thing in his throat, like how he kind of has a throat, that bulges out. So, you know, he basically, he died. He ended up dying of a heroin overdose, where I remember, you know, just for those that don't want to listen for everything. But this is real street stories, real true tales, whatever you want to call it. Various things, various ways to look at it. So, you know what I mean? I remember, you know, I really wish I could remember the years good, but so basically I'm around 16 years old or older. It's in the 90s. This kid, Matt Culhane, I remember I had known him, we hung out. In some ways he was like one of my little brothers, and I didn't have any little lower siblings and anything. So Matt Culhane was one of them, and then Pete Gambino was another one in a way. Things worked out a lot better for him. So I remember Matt Culhane once, he shows up at my fucking door. He just shows up, unannounced, doesn't call, nothing, which I always hate. It's look, whenever I went over a house, I'd always call. People would just show up, they don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? I go to a house, I call, and make sure it's allowed to go to the house. It's almost like a vampire. But we're not doing that one today. This one's serious, so we're not going. There's no vampires now. So he shows up at my house, he's tripping, either he's on acid or he's on shrooms. All I know is he's tripping, and he's at my house. You know what I mean? I don't know how many parents I had. At that time, I probably only had one parent. My mom, I think my sister was here. You know what I mean? But, you know, you still don't want somebody coming at your house tripping. You know, I had a lot of busy things going that day. People would always be calling me, always be running around. I mean, I remember when I had a beeper, my beeper would always be on overflow when I woke up. You know, back then we didn't really have cell phones. We'd have beepers and stuff. So this kid's in my house. He's tripping. I'm not even sure what he's on. He's like, oh. I'm like, oh man, what the fuck am I going to do with him? I remember I pushed him on my bed at one point, and I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this kid? What am I going to do with this kid? So it's kind of that's the type of thing that he might do to you sometimes. So, you know, he was a lot of people would pick on him, a lot of people would say bad things about him, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about him. And I remember once I'm in the handball courts, and this guy's like, yo man, your boy Matt, blah 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 blah. I'm like, which Matt? And, you know, there's Matt Hochstrasse, there's Matt Randall, who would end up going into the Marines. Hochstrasse, I think it was Matt Jade now, he does some acting, he's been in some stuff. I actually ran into him a few years ago. So, you know, these two little kids on the handball court, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? I would have fucking snapped them like a twig. I think I hit the ball really hard just to give them an idea what would happen. There's this other kid, Bittens, that would always be you know, he'd always be he was an interesting kid. If you saw me playing handball, I'd have to actually play for real because he knew I could play. It's he'd just skirt by, just play and have fun. So, basically, for some reason, Matt, he had a brother, his brother was in a band. I think I have a tape from the band that he was in, but I can't remember the name of the band. So, for some reason, I don't know what was going on with his parents. In the 90s, it was if you were doing drugs, they wanted to throw you into daytop. They wanted to do all sorts of things to you. They didn't really care. Oh my God, he's doing drugs. Oh my God, you know. So, you know, I mean, obviously he was doing acid. I think he was tripping at the time. But for whatever reason, they stuck him in a group home. So he's in this group home. It was I remember too. It was this big White House. So in the group home, the people working in the home would beat on him. The people working there would beat on him and do all sorts of stuff. And they could do whatever they wanted to him because he was in this home thing. And then there were a lot of kids there. People would identify, even though there's only the human race. People would probably identify them, or they would identify as black. And since they identified him as something they called white, they used that as an excuse to beat on him, even though he was basically 6 foot. And he was maybe weighed 100 buck 20, buck 25. But because they saw him as somebody white, they would beat on him, because, you know, that's kind of how racist types of thing. So he's getting beat on by the kids there, he's getting beat on by the staff there, and then he escapes with somebody there. Somebody there, they go on the run from this place, so they're actually on the run, and they're going, and they're on the run, and it's just you know, I think he called me when he was on the run, but I don't think I knew he was on the run. So I think he called me sometime from the home, and he couldn't really talk, but he kind of let me know he was getting beat on, or I could ask him. And so I know at some point I think he called me, but I don't know if he called me yet. So this police detective, like, he's calling me, he's hassling me, saying like all this stuff, and I gotta go see, you know, trying to get me to go to the thing. Then this girl like wants to hang out, and she's pretty cute, she's pretty cool. I'm like, I want to hang out with this girl, I want to do this other stuff. I got to see this girl's gonna come by, and then he's gonna come by, and then all this other stuff comes. But he comes by and he's talking to me. Instantly, I realize this guy's a fucking idiot. So his parents called me saying he thinks they might go to Bitten's house and be like hiding out in the yard. I'm like, the last place he's going to go is Bitten's or anyone else around here. He ran away with the other kid. They're going to go to all the other people the other kid knew, because the other kid was like rich. So the guy doesn't even have a picture of him. And he's looking for this guy. He doesn't even have a picture of Matt. He doesn't have a picture to show me. So he was like a waste of time. He comes to my house thinking he's hassling me. Like I had anything to do with the kid freaking escape. I didn't even know he was escaped. Then I think at one point Matt called me after that, and he's telling me how everything was and this and that, so I didn't know where he was or whatever. Then like, I remember like something happened to me, maybe I got arrested or this, and like, whatever happened, I remember like, somehow Matt ended up where he owed me like $300, and I remember he looked at me, and he's like, even if it takes the rest of my life, I'm going to pay you everything I owe you. I'm going to pay you the $300 I owe you. So like years later, he was doing better, he was like working, I thought everything was alright with him. We go to meet at like a diner, we're hanging out, we're talking, and he's telling me all this other stuff. He doesn't mention anything, I think everything's fine, he pays me back the money. Then I was eating meat, so I probably got like a cheeseburger, a plain cheeseburger with cheese, and like fries well done. I don't know if he paid for my thing too, but he might have, you know. So we talked, man, it seemed like everything was doing good. And then like sometime after that, I remember, you know, I had stuff going with court and everything like that. I actually went to see a Merciful Fate concert. It was like, and I was like had court dates around then, so it's like kind of hard to enjoy the concert. I think that was a time tour. So I remember I got this weird call from one of the sections, but I dismissed it, or, you know, because it was like my whole life I was always running around and never had any time, and then when I had to deal with all the court stuff, I wasn't going to do anything, so you know what I mean? So it's like, I was always running over here, over there, everywhere. I was going to this place, someone could call me from a payphone, I'd show up at the payphone because I know where they were, I knew where every payphone was, so you know, I kind of suspected that, and then sometime later, somehow I talked to somebody, or I ran into somebody, or somebody told me something, and basically Matt, he died of an overdose. He'd overdosed on heroin, and you know, he was dead, and he wasn't even that old. I mean, maybe he was in his early 20s, maybe he was like 18, 19, and you know what I mean? The guy had like a really difficult life. You know, he was in the home, he was getting beat on from the people in the home, he was getting beaten on the people from the work in the home, and you know what I mean? I can't remember anything he ever did that was too bad. I mean, obviously when he showed up at my house when he was on acid, I didn't really like that. But you know what? No one knows who Matt Culhane is. So I wanted people to know that there was a guy named Matt Culhane. He looked at Howard Stern. His life didn't turn out like Howard Stern. Maybe he looked like a bit of a turtle, or maybe like a bit of a cartoon character, but his life wasn't like a cartoon. It was a tragic life. It was a difficult life. And for some reason, maybe he was never loved, he was never treated well. I mean, imagine you're a kid, and your parents think so much of you, they stick you in this home, they can even do that, and then these people are like beating on you. Because I mean, I remember even with Pete, they had stuck him, they stuck Pete in like a thing, and he was on Daytop on TV, on MTV once, and his dad didn't want to sue because he didn't want Pete to make money, even though they showed him on TV when they shouldn't. And, so you know what I mean, in the 90s it was like a big thing. If somebody was smoking weed, they'd want to do anything they could. They'd stick you in all these like rehab centers, they'd stick you in group homes, they'd disown you, they'd do everything they could except love you. And that's just how it is, because you know what? People don't love their children, people don't love other people, people don't help other people don't care about other people, people are trying to make money off things, people are trying to make money off you, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. But you know what? Matt Culhane had a difficult life, and I hope if you're out there, if there's a Matt Culhane out there, that maybe something will work out a little bit better for you. 'Cause you know what? Matt was a decent kid, you know, he'd hang out, we'd play handball, maybe he was a little like not the quickest kid, maybe he did some drugs that he shouldn't have done. I didn't know he was on heroin, I didn't know he was shooting heroin, I had no idea he was doing. It seemed like everything was going good for him at the time. But you know what? I kind of suspected something was up from that phone call, but I just, you know, by the time I pieced it together and found everything out, but what could I really do? He was already dead, there's nothing I can do. I mean, once you're dead, I can't help you. So you know what? If you're out there, try to do what you can and let people know what's going on with you, and take care.